Marco Figueroa is a security professional, an incredible high performer. We go into tactics, techniques, habits, anything to up-level your performance. We're all about 120. He goes into his New York Bronx story and the nitty-grittiness of just getting after it, doing anything that you can to up-level. This is a fascinating conversation and a high-energy one that I know you'll love.
Marco, freaking incredible to have you here. And you're such a hard charger, fired up person. Voice stuck with me, and that keeps them coming up pretty much every day. Is your one word for this year? One
Yeah.
fucking 20.
Yep. Absolutely, buddy.
And go ahead.
It's about giving 120% every day. You know, are you really giving it everything you got every minute? Even if it's like people, chillaxing, are you there? Are you present? Right? Is it structured? Is it scheduled? Is it that downtime that you want for yourself? And is it intentional? So all of it counts. Everything counts. Give it 120%.
It's and I'm gonna start recording these because I've only recorded one, and we did a drop-in session right before, and you just said I freaking needed that. And just to get right to it, real and raw, do you mind? You don't have to go into the details. Like what is it that? Why did you need to connect to your heart and just to love yourself and forgive yourself right now and send someone else love?
Yeah, because I'm hard on myself. I'm my hardest critic. I push myself. And, at the end of the day, my thing is that I give it 120 today. And if I didn't, why not? And then it's, am I better than yesterday's Marco? And sometimes I'm too hard on myself. So it was good to say, pat myself on the back, say, it's okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's another day. Or I still have X amount of hours left in the day. So I think it brought me presence to like allow myself to forgive myself. And I always love myself. I think for me, my confidence, I'm grateful to have confidence. But like I said, I'm very hard on myself, and I'm also hard on other people that I love, that I know that are not giving it all, and that they're not squeezing the towel.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm gun ho and I get upset. It's like, you need a motivational speech. How many of these do you need to get going?
Yeah.
That is how I forgive. Like what I just said, I forgive someone. And that's what it was, because there's sometimes I'm like, how many motivational speeches you need? How many sit downs do you need? And it's the same thing over and over. So it's like, do you give up on that person? No. You love that person. You want them to grow. You want them to take it to that next level. But then that brings you to, what do you need to understand from them to make them push themselves on another level? And a lot of times is, I think, realizing what I've been going through is figuring out what is important to that person. Yeah, and especially if they don't know, it's giving them questions to allow their brain and their subconscious to go ahead and start, figuring that out.
When you bring that up, I see that as love, because when you have the ability to make someone realize their greatest potential, or to when they grow, if you help them, that is the greatest satisfaction for someone else to feel it. But also when you're able to give it, I mean, that's just sensational. And it brings me back to my childhood of there's different ways of parenting, and I'm me being a parent myself, and I know you're a parent too. It's a fine line of balancing. My mom was very open with, well, I'm going to give you the freedom to choose whatever you want. And if you want to do great in school, amazing. If not, then you can explore. But I'm expecting you to pass. Everything else it's up to you. your standard. And my reality shifted when I was 15, and I moved to my dad, and he was like, yeah, you were going to get an A or an B. Like, there's no other option. And I'm like, wait, what is this? And my mom comes from a very spiritual, philosophical background, and my dad is highest up at a company running things, and he will not, just the standards are completely different. And dad is one of the greatest gifts he has ever given me. But it's also one of the things that I've challenged with the most within my life, and that's forgiveness, and is loving myself, because I've not been able to achieve or produce enough. And I think from the shorter interactions that we've had so far, your awareness is there.
Yeah.
And it brings me to where did this come from for you? Where did this sensational drive come from you?
We're gonna go there.
Yeah.
But just a quick thing. I'm like your dad. A's and B's, period. But I will allow you to get there yourself. And then if you can't get there, what do you need? Let's recalibrate.
Yes.
Let's figure it out. You're not going to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But in the household is like, if you get A and B's, you're winning. You get what you want, because this is like, I treat the house like a corporation, like A's and B's. Winners are performers and they get rewarded. Where if you're in the bottom of the barrel, okay, you're going to get written up, but what do we need to push you to that next level? Is it laziness? Do you not want to go through the pain to get there? So I hands off until I need to be hands on. And then it's a recalibration of what you have been doing. And do we need help? Right? Do we need external help, a consultant, like a tutor or whatever, to get you where you need to be? Right. And if
I love that you use consultant. Yeah.
So you bring them in, and does that work? Mm-hmm. Now, you asked the question, how did I get here? What did I do? So I wasn't a good student, and I wasn't very smart. I know that, right? But what I had,
that's hard to believe.
Yeah. What I had was, I used to play baseball, and baseball was determined by, if you pass your classes, you were able to play, right? So throughout high school, I had to pass, get the minimum grades to play. That was super important. I did it. You had to.
And why baseball of all sports?
I was good at it. I think I found a drive, right? A habit. Mm-hmm. It's like, you got to take X amount of ground balls. So I think I built my grit and understanding the process to get better through baseball throughout my, youth. So I started playing organized ball when I was 12. When I was 15, I went into high school, and then I was like, oh, you got to do good in school to play. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So that allowed me to say, I'm not going to be an F up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the bare minimum. And then I understood, to get into a good school, you need better grades. So then, that was the thing. I wasn't a good student. I just knew how to play the game. Mm-hmm. The game was, you be friendly with the teacher. Hey, I'm trying to, and don't get me wrong, I was born and raised in the Bronx, right? So just to give you a heads up on the high school I went to, I came in with around 2,000 students freshman year, something like that, maybe 1,000, 2,000. When I graduated, I knew 4 people. Most of the people had, either dropped out or attended another year of high school, whatever the case is. But it was a low graduation rate. They closed the school eventually. But what I did was, I said, hey, this is how I'm going to get out of the Bronx. Is baseball. I got a scholarship to play at a community college. And that went well for 2 years. Then I went to Temple University, and I played there for 1 year. And then I understood, I'm not going to get drafted. I'm not going to be in the majors. All right. So then I was like, I was trying to
Before the
figure out.
so before the next step,
Mhm.
tell us what it was like to play baseball in Bronx. Like, and I'll tell you. So my perception, all right, and my view, why I came to the United States was basketball was a big part, and
Mhm.
one mixtapes. I was that was it, and that was, I mean, it's all New York, or majority is New York,
Yeah.
and I was just freaking fascinated, in love with it. I'm like, whoa, like nitty gritty, just people with their shirts off, with concrete, with fences, and it was just down and dirty, and it was passionate, it was real. There was just very much the opposite of the Swedish culture, which I grew up on an island part of my life, and it was very low key, very calm. A lot of farmers, people didn't really care about getting better. And then I saw this, I'm like, whoa. And
Mhm.
I heard DMX, I'm like, whoa. And
My
yes,
dogs don't fight. My dogs don't bite.
okay, yeah,
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 I'm a
Urf,
DMX
urf.
head. Yeah,
Uh-huh, yeah. So
absolutely.
what happened? What was that like? Tell us, like, what was that like growing up in the Bronx? And when you say playing baseball there too.
Yeah, it was. When I tell you it's hard. Um, I always give this example. When I was 18, I was happy I was alive.
Hmm.
When I was 21, I'm like, OMG, I'm like, I'm really, I could, I'm alive. Like I'm aware and I wasn't a statistic, right? And then when I was 33, I was like, I made Jesus's age. I'm happy, right? I could go from there. So it was hard. You're talking about baseball. One thing that comes to mind was we were in Katona Park. We were facing a rival, and this rival initially played at our field, and the catcher got into a brawl with one of the guys. So when we went over there after the game, we used to do some sprints, right? And when we went out to the outfield to talk and do sprints, they had this like mini mob come into the field with bats and like go ham on our team. Like some dude got like kneecapped.
Oh.
Yeah, it was I've never seen anything like knives and stuff like that. And the guy they wanted, I don't know how, to this day I don't know how he slipped away, but he slipped away and ran away, and he got home without an issue. And then they like, we were like, yeah, you got to leave because was because of you. But it was, there was always something going on. And in the Bronx, you can look up uh, stuff on Instagram or even YouTube of how the Bronx is, right? It's something where, it is rough. It is difficult. On where I lived on Castle Hill, shout out to Castle Hill. At night there's three streets that when you're walking home, you must be very aware, hyper aware of what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in New York, you're either shark or prey. So something, 2 years ago, I was there in the Bronx, and I'm walking to a store, and I made eye contact. Now, when you make eye contact with someone, the first one to break eye contact is the prey, or especially if you look down. So if you look down, that's even worse. So you have to be aware of what's going on there. So it's something that I would say I'm used to now. I think I lost some of it when I moved out, and I moved to California. Right, that shark is not a shark. Maybe it's a dolphin now.
Hmm.
But yeah, it I think it'll always be there, the killer instinct. But for me, I think what transformed me after going to college and coming back to the Bronx, I need to scratch something off of my first paycheck. So I have right on the right side of me, my first paycheck. When I came back to the Bronx, I worked at Home Depot,
Hmm.
and I always keep it as a reminder where I came from and
Mm-hmm.
what it took to get to where I'm at today. Like hard work. There's no substitution for it. For you to get better, you have to put in the work. And when I was in New York, what I committed to myself is I got to get out the hood. I have to get out the hood. This is not my life. I got to get out the hood. And there's nothing wrong. I want you to know that I have a lot of friends and family that still live there. And there's nothing wrong with it. But what I knew is I want more for myself. I want to do bigger and better things. I want to push. I want to make things happen. But it starts with hard work. And what I did was I decided, and I have one friend that's seen it from day one. I started at Home Depot every single time I worked. At lunchtime, I was reading computer books, getting a certification so I can get the certifications I needed to get a job, because I knew that was the route that I needed to go to make things happen. And then what I understood, because I wasn't a strong reader and I wasn't my comprehension wasn't as good, I started to figure out, okay, let me set goals where I want to go. So you need that destination. And then what is going to take me to get there? And then I'm going to start just chipping away at it and be persistent. And, you get distracted by all these shiny things, but it's that every day pushing to that specific goal that you need to get to achieve it.
So this fascination and to see where you are today, this makes it even a greater story. And I'm like, all right, I'm rooting you on as you're telling your story. And now you are in my eyes, a very technical position as a threat senior researcher at well, we won't disclose the name. It doesn't matter really, but you're in cybersecurity, and it's not a job that was around. They didn't even exist, I assume, when you grew up.
Yep.
How did you get into the line of work, and why study computers?
I knew from an early age that computers was the future. How did I get into security? I went to a conference, right? Security back in the day was a system administrator at a network, right? Basically, you created and all this stuff. So one of the things that I went to the hacker conference, DEF CON, and I was looking, and there's something called a pen tester where they test your systems for vulnerabilities and they help you identify them. So I went to this conference and I'm like, first of all, there's not a security industry. Second of all, there's all these pen testers and there's no defenders. So I'm going to concentrate on reverse engineering that could give me offensive and defensive capabilities, but I'm going to lean towards where all this malware and everything is created to understand how the malware works and to provide how to identify it on networks. And this was like I carved out my niche back in 2006.
Dude, for anyone that doesn't know how early that is, that's
it's knowing your passion and trying to just throw darts at a dartboard and saying, okay, this is going to be my passion. And I think my first job was in 2004 as a desktop support. And what I said was, I'm in. That's all I needed. I needed just one foot in. I'm going to take care of the rest, and I'm just going to fucking work. I'm going to put in my work day in and day out. And then it's very important to be around like-minded individuals, because the one thing I say, when you're around like-minded individuals, you guys are going to work together hard. You're going to push each other. You're going to love what you're doing, and you're going to hang out. And I still have relationships back from when I started, from my first gig. So, we don't stay in touch anymore, but both of us were desktop support guys, and both of us are now in the security industry because he didn't stop either. So it is amazing, what this industry has done for me, and I want to always give back.
So I grew up on, so it's an island called Gotland, and I grew up with people from, there's nothing comparable to Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Even I've been briefly to Bronx, and there's nothing of that sort, but it's still not the best neighborhoods. And I grew up in it's funny to say this. It's the biggest island of Sweden, but rap culture, basketball, the whole thing, we were into that, and we try to emulate the African American culture, and we got all into it, and won mixtapes and all that. So I can relate to your background. I never know authentically what it was like, but I can relate to what it was like to take myself out of an area like this,
Mm-hmm.
not being completely just on the other side of the globe, because I did not want to become just an average person, just doing what everyone else was doing. And most recently, so I just opened up my Facebook account and Instagram account for first time in 5 years, and I started posting as I'm launching this new business. And there are a lot of things that are coming up from my past, and I'm realizing, whoa, because I'm now elevating myself to
Mm-hmm.
associate myself in a whole different genre of, you can say, people and ways of going about life. There are some people I truly admire for their loyalty, their kindness, their thoughtfulness, but some of them are still, let's say, they have worked at and if this brings them happiness, working at a grocery store, that is okay. But I think a lot of people just fall into it, and that is just, they do it for sometimes the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
What was, do you, when you mention relationships, and that is a key thing, do you still keep in, I assume you still have some relationships left in
Yeah,
New York and
I
the
have.
Bronx, and,
I
and how
have.
do you, yeah, how do you deal with, and how do you upkeep those while not feeling like, okay, how do I still remain up high and I know who I am in integrity, right?
I think there's a lot of ways to do that, right? I think for me, I reach out. Holidays the usual, but it's you're playing on a different level. They can't comprehend that they have to get off the rat wheel, or the wheel where these squirrels go, right? Because it's a everlasting thing. And most of the time for me, I always tell my friends, man, stop acting to the day. The day is happening for you rather than creating your day. If you're a Picasso and you have a blank slate, what are you creating? Are you willing to create that masterpiece and take time to understand where you're going? And a lot of people can't wrap their heads around that. And that is one of the big things. And I never ever try to I'm not that type of guy that puts down people. I'm the type of guy that lifts everything up. So the way I look at it, whether it's my social media, and I think I told you this, whether it's my social media and I'm in the middle and I have all my friends, is how do I pull everyone up? Because if I pull everyone up, everyone's going to come up with me. And that's what I do. My friend, I remember this in 2005, one of my best friends in the world. I still talk to him today. It's like, you're never going to be a millionaire. I was like, you know what? That's your limitation. It's not
Mm.
my limitation.
Mm-hmm.
That's your limitation. I think I could be, ex multi-millionaire. I think I could be a billionaire one day. I think for me, it's not about the money, it's about the journey and the process, and going through it. And this is what I always tell people: don't chase the money. You're doing it wrong. Chase the love of what you're doing, because you will get paid for it. It doesn't matter what it is. So if you love Transformers, you could be the expert on Transformers and have a podcast just on Transformers, and a blog post, a forum where you have people that love Transformers, right? That's like your passion. And that's the thing. You could create a community that can do something. I'm not saying, you know, it's going to make you X amount of money, but if you have love for it, you have passion for it, you know, so what, you make 40, 50 grand or even 20, but can you live with that? Are you loving waking up? Are your happiness there? For me, it's like for every day I wake up, I get to work in my, you know, field that I love and I have passion for. And if I hated it, I wouldn't be as good as it, because I'm just going through the motions.
Mm. Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things I love is every morning I'm Picasso. Who's going to tell me I'm not Picasso in my industry, in my field, in my life?
Mm.
Blank slate right there. I paint my pictures the way I think they look like Picasso or better, right? And this is just the mentality. Winning mentality is you wake up and you are proactive. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to
Mm.
win big. Winning big for me is what I decide winning is. Not you, not someone else, not my significant other, not my mom, not my brother. It's like put these two fingers in your ear and listen to yourself and tell yourself or ask yourself, what is winning for you? What can you stop doing so you can win more? How do you win big or bigger? And these are the questions. You ask yourself the right questions, you will get the right answers from it. Period. It's like one thing that I always tell people is, do you know how to grind? Do you know what that is? Have you put in that work? When you get to that pain threshold, do you know how to push through? Or do you know how to give yourself a break? Because it's like your brain is like, you know, you're doing bicep curls when you're working, when you're using your brain, you got to let it release and you got another set coming, right?
Mm. Mm.
Use the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes on, give that bicep a rest. Give it 5 minutes. Get back in at 25. Then do 4 sets of that and take a 15-minute break. See what I'm saying? So there's a process. You got to search for these people that have nuggets that you think you may need.
So you're bringing up in the beginning their love and passion, and it's something I've been considering, reflecting on quite a bit lately, as stoicism is more and more prominent in my life, as there is a scale, you can say, of how do you love and get passionate about something that you do, but don't get swayed by the love and passion for it. That you get sometimes blinded because you are so fascinated or into what you're doing that you lose, you can say, your values, your principles, relationships. I've certainly been there. And passion and love was something that drove me here to the United States too, because I wanted to experience a full range of emotions, not just being in a safe zone all the time, in a status quo all the time. And now it's something, and so one of my best friends growing up, he's from Chile, and a lot of passion in that family, and everything from the food to the dancing. And I'm married to a woman she's half Ecuadorian, so that still sticks with me to this day, an expression of salsa. There's a lot of passion, a lot of love, a lot of emotion in it. I see strokes in you when you're saying painting your masterpiece, and you're the artist. Like, I see strokes like that within you yourself. Like, do you mind going into where that comes from?
Yeah, I think emotion creates motion, right? If you are animated and you love something, it's going to give you that energy, that thing you want, right? That blood is going to be moving, right? This is why when you feel like when you do exercise, you feel a certain way. You feel like, oh, I feel fresh, right? Anytime you feel tired or you're not amped to do something, do 10 squats, do 15 jumping jacks. Let me see how you feel to do what it is. And then, you know, it's who I think as I grow up is like I'm so passionate about things, not passionate as just being an asshole. It's just like excited where the opportunity of doing something that you've never done or having an experience that you're going to feel. And it's like, how do you take yourself to another level? And to me, it's that passion, that love, that that emotion that you need to get you through something when you don't want to do it. And going to David Goggins, which I recommend that
Mhm.
everyone read that book. It's, in that book, he says, do something you don't like every day. I hate, I hate washing dishes. I don't think anyone that I know washes them like me, though. But it's a passion, but I force myself to wash the dishes like no one can, like real fast and hard. Like I love it, right? I hate to, like, I literally, like, my neck cramps up when I'm folding clothes. I do not like to fold clothes at all. I like don't look forward to after this. I'm gonna fold clothes because I washed earlier today, but all of my clothes that I fold are on point, like if I was in the military.
Mhm.
And it's just a process. Like I know I'm a beat you, brain. I'm gonna tell you what to do. Yeah, you might give me a feeling that you don't want to do it, but I control you. I control my body. If I want to read 100 pages, I'm going to will myself to read those 100 pages. Where when it's too hard and there's pain, it's learning how to, like he says, callous your mind. And I think, I was doing that before, but now he gave me a way how to explain it.
Mm.
Right? I was learning, like, I got to do this. It's going to happen. And it's the same thing with the Pomodoro technique. It allows, okay, you're such in pain. Here's your 5-minute break. Do what you need to do. Go outside, swing your neck, boom. And
You're going into concepts there
mhm,
that is getting me. I mean, you've mentioned two things, and I'm realizing that it's sticking with me. And that's another thing that you brought up from David Goggins, and that's something that the Stoics talk about a lot too. Is do what's uncomfortable because you practice your mind to getting used to how you face difficulties in life. Difficulties will never go away. They will always be there.
mhm.
You will determine the quality of your life by how you face obstacles, by how you face difficulties. And the more you face them, the better you get at it. So you might as well face them on your on your terms rather than them happening smack face in your just in you in your regular day to day or whenever they happen. So it's something that I want to make a practice. And it's inspiring me too. And what you said too, how you fold your clothes, you do it with the utmost integrity. Like how you do anything is how you do everything. Um, you're truly speaking like the diamond in the rough. And I'm very intrigued to hear about who was there anyone when growing up that really you looked up to or influenced you that you saw as okay, wow, this
No.
is
Mhm.
yeah.
I think one of the things, and I literally have to call him because I've been wanting to call him for like a year and tell him this. So I used to have this friend in the Bronx where we grew up. We used to snap on each other. We used to, do, like, just play games and everything. And I used to have this friend. His name is Alex Torres. He probably doesn't even know this, but it has stayed with me forever and a day and has given me the confidence where I don't care what people say. So we used to snap on him. He used to do stuff, and his thing would be, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. He'll say it 25 times and would not give a damn. And he would just say that over and over. So, and so what? I don't give a fuck. That was his whole little pattern when we used to, like, go into these groups. It didn't matter what it was. He was like, so, and what? And it always stuck with me. And I think to this day, that's the attitude I feel about like when people are judging or talking and this, that, and the other. It is hard for me to give two shits what people say. Of course, for me, it is important where it's like I give a damn, but I really don't. Right. It depends, of course, who's it coming from. Is it constructive criticism is different, right? Because you're trying to make me better. But if it's just criticism, critiquing me for no reason, and I know it's just bull, and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter. I go refer back to him.
Mm.
So that right there, it brings me back to that. And when it comes to my passion is having these discussions. I have a passion for it, right? One of the things is I feel like your day is like a movie, right? And then you have a battery throughout that movie that you got to go to sleep. So it's like, how do you manage your energy? And it's really being self-aware. And I know I'm going to go on a tangent, but I need to we're going Klaus to dirt now.
Mm-hmm.
If one day is a movie and you want to get the best out of it, that means you got to do everything right. What do I mean by do everything right? It's putting the right nutrients in, giving yourself the right vitamins, eating the right foods, exercising, and performing. Even if it's playing with your children, it's having that energy to give them 120%, right? So it's like managing everything and not being anal retentive, but just like, all right, so taking 3 steps back, the way you figure shit out is you have to measure it. It has to be measured, and then you got to put metrics behind it. Like, let's be technical now. You have to put metrics behind it. What does that mean? Let's say I have a ring here. That's an Oura ring. I have my Apple Watch, and every day I burn around. I think it's for me to like be good. I need to eat around 2,000 calories, let's say, and I usually burn anywhere from 25, 26 when I go to the gym. Mm. So now, or including the gym, or a little less, 1,000 calories I burn at the gym for an hour. I need to eat 2,000. So if you take that away, I really need to eat 3,000 or 2,500, depending on how much activity I got. So if I want to perform at a high level, I need to eat 2,400 calories, right? I got to drink 1 gallon of water. That's to perform at the highest level. That's giving your body the nutrients it needs to perform at a high level. This is all going somewhere. So now I wake up at 5 in the morning, right? I don't eat my first meal until after the gym, take a shake. Okay, now it's time to be a mental athlete starting at 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. to 12, I go hard, I take a break, eat, go hard again from 1 to 5. In between, maybe a snack or another shake at 3, and then eat a meal at 6. So right there, I gave you 13 hours of pure performance. Now, from 6 to 7, I might be doing something random, taking a quick break, spending time with my family. And then it's time to wind down starting at 7:30, 8. I might read something productive. I have magazines there. It all depends on the day. And then it's day in and day out. Every day, what I just told you, 5 days a week. Day in and day out, giving it 120. And making sure you're sleeping correctly. And this is why I have the ring, because I want to see, I need metrics. How much REM am I getting? How much sleep am I getting? What's the average time I go to sleep? How am I feeling when I wake up? Why is this happening? So these are questions that you need to ask yourself so you can perform at a high level. It's a must. People don't go that deep, but when you flip over every rock is unturned, and then you keep on asking questions. How can I get better? How can I do more? What can I do? These are the things that put you on that high level. A lot of people don't want to go there. It's too hard for them. It's too much information. But when you want to play at that level, you have to play, and you have to get those metrics in and out, in and out, in and out, and they have to be measurable.
You are going into, this is what I was doing at my prime, peak performance, or when I had the greatest output professionally. And when what comes up, and some might say this because it's glorified, especially here in the United States, well, Marco, you're only working 9 to 5 and you're taking freaking breaks. Like, I work freaking 12-hour days, especially New York guys, gals. And my father, who's made it very high up in the career world, he would always scoff at that and the Swedish way of doing things. Well, it doesn't matter really how many hours you put in doing it, it's how you do it. What do you do when you're on? It's not BSing around, talking, being on social. Like, can you go into what is this? There's intentionality for sure. How do you describe what you do when you
Okay,
do what
so
you do?
I'm gonna
Notifications off.
I'm going to go into that, but I want to answer a question before that. One of the things, your dad, people are right. There's times that I work maybe 16 hours a day. I'm putting in that work because that's what's required to get it done. And I think I always say this, my coworker, it could take him 4 hours where it might take me 10. And you have to be self-aware that everyone's different. So it could take you 2 hours, but it might take me 12 to 16. Everyone is different. So to me, we can't generalize the time, right? What is required is for you to bust your ass. What is required is for you to get it done. Now, how long it takes you is up to you. When you say it's done, it's done. Maybe I want to work 16 hours, but tomorrow I'm not going to work. So it requires you to take 16 hours on a Monday so you don't have to work on a Tuesday, or you want to take a day off on Friday. And you know it needs, for a specific task, it needs 40 hours. So maybe you got to work 12 hours a day, or whatever the case is until you get it done. So timing, to me, everyone has 24 hours. Is what you do with it is what you do with it. And sometimes you just got to walk away and say, this is enough for today. And sometimes there's deadlines and you got to push. So to me, when it comes to time and scheduling and doing what you need to do, everyone is different. If you only want to work 6 hours a day, you can. It's what you are expected to put out, right?
So
I wanted to answer your other question.
Go ahead, do it.
Which is, how do I get into the zone? What is it, right? What I would recommend is everyone to read Josh Watson's The Art of Learning. And in The Art of Learning, I think it's chapter 8, he goes real in depth into how to develop a pattern to get in peak focused mindset, right? So he gives an example where this guy, to get into a peak performance, he has to have a catch with his kid. He needs to hear a Neil Diamond song, and then he has to do like some sort of exercise, and then he's there. And then that would take 30 minutes. And for him, he perfected it where it took him 3 minutes to get there. For me, it depends on the specific task, but for me, it is scent. I have sage or a scented candle. I have a specific headphones, and there is a specific playlist. There's my Pomodoro, and then it's go time. This is what I want to do, and I'm not going to stop until I get it done. Period.
Mm.
Regardless, again, it could take me 2 hours, it could take me 8. Are you willing to go hard? I am. I am. So I think that is the mindset you got to have on doing stuff, right? If you write poems, if you're a writer, if you're a podcaster, if you're an editor, it doesn't matter what it is. There's tasks that need to be done, right? If you're a tutor, if you have a child that you need a tutor, guess what? We're using a Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes, we're going to go hard until you get it. And then we're going to stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. So you can do this with anything you want. You know, for me, I started getting infatuated with time. And I love it because guess what? Everybody has the same time. It's how you use it. So every time I used to clean, I used to time myself. How long this takes. So I can tell you how long my room takes to clean or the backyard would take, right? Or a cleaning my clothes. So I would like put that in my head. And one thing that I do as a release for my brain is clean something random once a day. Something I put in my schedule because it gives me that release. So like I said, for me, it's I go into this, okay, for me to clean this, I got 25 minutes. You got to get it done in 25 minutes, Marco. Come on. Don't let me down. You can't be. And it's just a game. Like, I don't like cleaning, but now it's a game. I just put a game in front of me. Can you get it done in 25 minutes? Yes. So you know, it's how do you talk to yourself is super important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love myself. Yes. I don't think no one loves me more than me, but for me, I want to be in a good space. I want to be happy. So cleaning doesn't make me happy, but if I make it a game, it's going to make me happy. Right. And that's to me the mindset that makes you go ahead and challenge yourself. Like many people that aren't on that peak performance will laugh at you. And I'm like, keep on laughing.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you know, the way I live. And I tell you, if there's one thing that I would recommend everyone watching this, hearing this, to walk away with is don't react to your day. Be proactive. Picasso, be proactive, create your day from morning to night. And you know, for me, if it's anything that I can do or anything like that, you could definitely reach out to me. But go ahead. Any other questions? I'm ready. I'm ready to fire. All my tips and tricks are ready to go.
Being so dialed in, having everything planned out, shortens creativity at times. Google has this practice too, where you are allowed a certain amount of time just to, this is your passion project time. You go off and do whatever. And there is, I mean, evidence that this is where some of the best inventions have come about. Have you implemented something of that sort in your life?
I would say on the weekends, sometimes I doodle, write things down, um, take a walk, try to, like I said, try to create. I think really in the morning, you know, there's those to-dos that I need to do, but I try to imagine like new things and cool things and how do I get those, like pull those strings so I can create and do more. Right? I think it's important to take time out and be reflective and how do you become creative? That's one thing I was working on 2 years ago. It's, you know, I think people be like, oh, it's natural talent. I'm like, I don't believe, I believe in natural talent. Yeah, like you don't have to work at it as good, but you become shitty. I believe you need to put in the work. So I put in the work so I could like be more creative, right? I created this whole process. I bought some books where I can doodle, create, think of problems that are out there that I'm having or that, I want to create in a certain space and be creative. Who said you can't be creative? I can be creative anytime, right? It's the perspective you have on it, right? Of course, if I draw a stick figure, it's not going to be a work of art. But guess what? It's all about perspective. It's a work of art to me. It's what I did. It's the work that I've put in. And I think a lot of times it's like you look for other people so they can say, this is a win, and its impact. So it's also when you create something, it's a win for you, but how it becomes successful is other people need to like check off on it, right?
Mm. You have a lot of structure, and it's very thoroughly thought out what you do.
Mhm.
I was on that path, and what happened to me is I fell prey to the money. I fell prey to titles
Mhm.
and not doing what I wanted. Not the external circumstances affected me in a negative way, and I started going inward. And I was so dialed in my routines, and when all of a sudden the company was scaling and management switched things up, moved around teams, new leadership came in, I had to adapt. I had to
Mhm.
switch, and I struggled. Or
Mhm.
I hit a ceiling, I reached my goal, and I'm like, and it's the classic. I didn't know what my next goal was. I knew perception, like in my head what it was, but I didn't have that feeling of like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm gonna freaking do it. I have this. I'm gonna show you. And it was part of that was a chip on my shoulder, and it's always wanting to show my father that I'm worthy enough. But now that every time I reach that level, and it's this fallacy of not setting your next goal, there are many things that came up, and I had such immense drive, and eventually I fell on my own sword. Is I was so dialed in so often that I did not rest enough. I was running myself to the ground, and I was so dialed in that I let go of my emotions, and I thought it was a distraction. My ego made it out to be in the way that, oh well, you get this high when you get this sale, or you get this promotion, or you get this praise, but it was all superficial.
Mhm.
I thought it was emotions that I valued, but then slowly but surely, like my relationship started going downwards as the focus was what can I do for me, and how can I dial in my life,
Mhm.
not about others. And that eventually, for example, one a mentor of mine committed suicide, and part of that it was in there were similar circumstances when you put all your eggs in one basket, when you go so freaking hard and it's taken away from you, or you
Mhm.
fail, or you
Mhm.
crash and burn. External circumstances do something, and you're a mess. I had to take quite a bit of time doing the extreme opposite, and I had to just be. I had to do a lot of reflection. I had to do a lot of rebuilding. At one point, I switched jobs, and I had been in a startup go getter chasing mentality, always new, shiny, and 120%. And then it went to, well, we're going to take it methodically, and every day we'll see what we get done. And I'm like, I'm going insane. I need like, let's do this. And that was not the reality. And it was incredibly complicated. And it forced me to look inside of myself, and also who are the people around me. Then I realized it turned my attention to my family more, and made me realize, okay, well, how do I cultivate what's within? How do I cultivate a relationship within myself where my own happiness, where how I feel about myself is not dependent on what I do?
Mhm.
Um, why
I
I'm
would
getting,
say,
yeah.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
for me, and this is just my opinion, I really don't believe in burnout.
Mm,
I just don't, because I don't, if I don't like something, I'm not going to do it. Right? If it for me, uh, to me, burnout is like you doing something and you don't like doing it. Like, I don't want to wake up in the morning. I don't want to go to work. I
mm,
don't want to, that to me, that's burnout. And to me, it's like you have the wrong goal or something like that. Again, this is all my opinion, because if you have a goal and you're doing it every day and you're feeling like you don't want to do it, then it's the wrong goal. Like, unless you have, to me, unless you have like some sort of chemical imbalance in your brain where, you're feeling a certain way, I get that. I do. But to say I'm burnt out from this job, to me, it's just like you don't have the right goal. You're at the wrong job. You're doing the wrong thing. And that is just my opinion. Many people I've gone to, they like, you're wrong, this, that. I'm like, okay, that's just again, don't fault me. It's my opinion, because every day I wake up, first thing I do is thank God my heart didn't stop last night. Now let's fucking get it. Now let's go.
mm-hmm.
Now let's give it 120 the way we need to do it. And that's, to me, that's it. How can you be burned out of something you love, that you have energy for, that you're grinding for? To me, honestly, it doesn't make, I don't understand that. Right? Maybe someone else one day could like help me bring it, because I'm always the opposite. Well, do you love it? Do you have energy? Do you have any chemical imbalances? No. Okay, so what's the issue? Maybe you need a break. Go get a vacation. Go to
Mm-hmm.
Maui, sip some mai tais or pina colada or something like that. But I just love what I do. If I didn't do this, I would find something else that I love to do and try to be the best at it, and the best that I could be, not the best that someone else could be. And another thing is, you refer to it like pointing to your pops. Like, did you want to be the best because you wanted to be the best, or you just wanted to show him, yo, I could do it big, right? So this is why I say I'm hard on me,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm hard on me. I'm not hard on anyone else. I'm not saying I want you to be proud of me. I don't give a fuck if you're proud of me or not. I'm proud of myself. When I walk in, I can have my chin up, chest out, because I know I've given it all I got, from a good perspective, right? From love. But like, for me, this isn't, it's not me like rah rah hippity. This is my thoughts, speaking to myself daily. I'm speaking to myself daily. This is what I say to myself. And it is what it is. I don't like, it's great to have champagne moments. So one thing I do with my schedule is, what is your champagne moment today?
Mm.
What, you pop the bottle. What is that going to be? Create it.
Uh-huh.
Create your champagne moment,
Mm.
and then try to predict the glass being broken. What event could that be?
Mm.
And then could you avoid it? See, these are games. These are amazing games you get to play in the morning when you're creating your schedule. I'm not faking it. What's your champagne moment? My champagne moment of the day is speaking to you.
Mm.
This is, and that's what it is. Is there going to be a broken glass? I don't think so. I think at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., I'm going to the gym and I'm going to get my ass whooped. That's not going to be my champagne moment, but I know I'm going to get my ass whooped today because I've seen the workout.
Mm.
But this is my champagne moment.
Mm.
And I think you have to celebrate every day. Like, I did that. Pat yourself on the back.
Mm.
Right? Last Thursday, I was at the gym. Sorry, last Friday, I was at the gym and I finished this whole workout, complete workout.
Mm.
and I patted the shit out of me like no tomorrow, because it was a new gym and they're doing all these things, and they have the COVID protections and everything, but the workouts are like for like real athletes, like, and I finished the workout.
We're talking CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not that you're gonna hurt yourself. It's in between CrossFit and like, normal movements, not the herk and jerk stuff. But anyway,
Yeah. No, but I
my,
have a past in it. What gym? We might as well give a shout out.
it's Savage Gym, it's Savage Gym in California. But so I gave myself next month. The goal was next month to complete an entire workout, because it is that damn hard. Like today, I know I'm gonna give it all she's got. The likelihood of me finishing, I don't know, but I'm gonna give it all she got. Right? I'm not going in the mindset as I'm not gonna finish it. I know it's hard, right? But last Friday, I finished it. I was like, shit, I'm 2 weeks ahead. I gave myself all of February to finish one workout. So I smelled the roses. Smelled the roses. I came home. It was a 6 a.m. workout. I came home at 7:15, and I was kicking my heels here because it was my champagne moment that was unexpected. And I was like glowing, happy, because I hit my goal. Goals feel good, but you got to set more goals, right?
And so when you achieve your champagne moment, how quickly do you get back after and set your new goal?
I think, my new goal is for next month, 2 in a row, 2 workouts in a row. Like these workouts are no joke. Right. And my goal for fitness is to go, just 2 days back to back. I work on Monday through Friday, just 2 days. It could be Friday and then the following Monday, but just 2 back-to-back workouts that I could complete. And it's those short steps. And then this is what I'm saying. If I don't complete it on February, guess what? I got March. Don't be too hard on yourself, but I got March. But my goal is that. And I think a lot of people, when they set goals and they feel crushed. And I think, it's okay not to hit your goals as long as you get back on the horse and you continue pushing is important. And then you have your accountability partners, right? The people that you trust that say, hold me accountable to this. Hold me to, put my feet to the fire or something like that. And you need those. I call them consiglieres. I have many of them, and I have them in different fields. So my health guy is Ronald Edding. Shout out to him. I go to him for advice, and hey, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? Give me your recipes for cooking certain meals. I call him Chef Ron. For technical advice, I have someone for that. I have my doctor for my health. I have all of these people in my life that I can call life advice, relationship advice, health advice, nutrition. It goes on and on. So you need a lot of mentors. You can't have a guru that just has covered everything. It's not a good look.
Few things come up. The power of your inner circle of influence is freaking huge. Second one is pertaining to burnout. You do something very significant. This ties in with number 3 too. You set boundaries. You're very clear about your boundaries. And when you are on, you're on what it sounds like and present in what you're doing. You're not somewhere else. And I'll tell you what happened with me is I get so energetically charged with what I'm passionate or love doing that I have a hard time shutting off. Regardless, if I step into family time, I'm like, oh, my mind's like, I have an inner visualization of what's happening and what I need to do because I'm so into it while I'm having a conversation and listening in the same time. And it doesn't matter sometimes if I work out or meditate or whatever it is, it still is there if I'm that into it.
What's wrong with that? Because I love that. because while I'm doing stuff, I'm counting numbers and doing things I'm going to do, and sometimes I'm not present, but it's because I don't want to be present.
Mm.
Right? I might be talking to somebody. It's not a good thing, but the call or who I'm talking to, it's kind of like I'm weighing out what's more important. These numbers that I'm thinking about. I'm present. I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm not 100% there because I have these cycles going. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's your passion drives you. Your passion wakes you. Can you? I mean, it's important if you have your significant other or your children, and you can't let it go. That might be an issue.
Right.
But I mean, there's meditation. Shut your brain off. Try to hold it down. For me, I love this is like hacking the brain. It's to me, this conversation is all about hacking the brain. And I love reading about the brain, how to have a manual for me that I've created to help me remember stuff, do stuff, be a high performer. And when that brain is going, let it flow. You ever wake up in the middle of the night? I have a paper and a pad by my desk. I mean, my nightstand.
Mm.
Because I wake up sometimes ready to jot down what's in my brain. You know, one thing that I learned is write down your dreams. People say,
Mm.
"Oh, I don't remember it." You know how you do it? When you wake up, don't open your eyes, close it. Start training your brain and your mind to remember what you dream about. And there's sometimes that I wake up and I don't write it down, but during the day it's like, "Oh, I dreamt of that." So you're aware of stuff. This is like, to me, it's taught. It's not natural, right? And it goes along the line like everything matters. Everything matters, man. The conversations you have, the things you do, what you think of, just your energy, you're putting it out there. It all matters. So why not do it? And this is the thing, being kind, loving each other, but just taking it by like just doing your best. And for me, if we have a conversation off, it's still with that passion and love, and people will know that. But I have so much love and compassion for people in general. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure and I hope that I'm sure my family members would be like, they'll say amazing things about my heart and who I am because I really care for other people and want the best for everyone. I never, I don't recall anyone in my, for me, anyone that I'm like, I wish bad on that person or I don't want that person to win. Never, never, ever, ever. I want that person to win, even if it's a rival, right? Because even that rival that's going to get better, it's going to bring you up. You have to perform at that level. So, you know, you always want to put the positive vibes out there and want people to do good and you know, don't feel sorry for people. You know, in certain contexts is what I'm saying. And I'm like, oh, this is hard and good. Good. Do
Mm.
more. Like push yourself to more. And a lot of people, you know, it's trust me when I tell you it's laziness because I used to be there. But then once you start understanding the traits, like the definition of laziness, like it's not laziness, it's just a word. It's like, why don't you want to work and you rather be on the couch watching
Mm.
TV? Like once you start, that's to me lazy, right? Or I want to play video games and not do what I have to do to become a better human. That's laziness.
Dreams is something a lot of high performers do not
Mhm.
speak of. Why does that play a factor in your life? And explain how you integrate and learn from them.
I think they are like a computer has subtask, sub-processes. And I think that is a open process when you're sleeping where it allows you to create and work on problems. So, like, again, people out there might be like, oh, this guy's a little bit out there, but I don't give a fuck. So I tell my brain when I go to sleep, I want you to work on this for me. Good looking. I appreciate it when I wake up. I know you're gonna have something for me, but I want you to dream about this. We're in there, right? Most of the time, maybe not. Maybe it's just like running and doing stuff. And I certain that why was this person in my dream? And I haven't even right. But I try to command what I dream of to help me out and figure out a problem. Why am I eating so much? Can you help me out there? Figure out what's going on there. Is there something chemically wrong that's going on? And I just tell my body sometimes heal. Like I'm sore, my back is hurting. Heal that place for me. I'm pushing all my energy for there. Or I might be working on a project and say, hey, I'm having this issue, this error. Can you try to help me? So when I wake up, I could, look at all angles. And that's what I do. You're gonna dream anyway. You're gonna hit REM sleep. If you're not hitting REM sleep, you're gonna have a short life. And this is why I tell you, damn, I wish I had my phone over here so I could give you the stats of last night that I have on there. So, you got to measure it. Everything is measurable, and especially sleep, because sleep impacts your performance. That's why I said everything matters. If I don't hit X amount of, look, what I do know is I need 6 hours and 53 minutes to perform at my highest level. 6 hours and 53 minutes of sleep to perform at my highest level. I need close to 4 hours at least of REM. Or I don't get that high, maybe 2.5, sorry, 2.5. But I have the stats there, right? And this is I rate it. Like in the mornings, I document. I slept X, I did this, I did that. I feel like a freaking animal. I'm a lion, right? So that's what I would say. That's what I would say. Everything is measurable. Measure it. Be a metrics nerd. And there's a lot of things out there for you to be a metrics nerd. This Aura ring is a little expensive, but it's so worth it because you're going to be on this planet for a long time. And to other people, it's short, but you're going to sleep. I think it's a third of your life you're going to sleep. So, I mean, you need the metrics. You need to perform at a high level.
You're going into the area that was my downfall, and I was breaks and sleep. Because I had looked up to these people and the notion of, well, if you're going to work, you don't need sleep. Like, who else is out there right now doing what you want to do, but they're taking that from you because you're not out there working? Like, sleep when you're dead. It's that notion. I'm like, okay, well, hearing these people sleeping 4 hours, 6 hours, I'm like, okay, well, all right, let's get it. And I started sleeping 6 hours, and then had my daughter, and I was biking to work, and I was listening to a podcast there. I was throughout breaks, I was doing what we did here. I mean, do hourly breathing sessions. I was having everything locked down. I was waking up. So I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, and I had my own time, and I did visualizations. I had power moves. I had things that I said to myself. I got myself in state, and then I killed it. And then I was listening to, I was going back on a train, reading a book, and taking a bike up a big steep hill, listening to another podcast, as I was working out, listening probably to a third podcast. And by the time I'm ready for dinner now, I'm cooking dinner, I'm very, very exhausted. Eventually, maybe after a year, I just stopped retaining information. I I forgot things mid-sentence. I did not take vacations and I did not take breaks, but I was freaking loving what I was doing. And that is, you're going into that. And that's what I think is amazing about you. You set those boundaries, like you're saying. Well, if you're burnt out, take a break, like take a vacation, rediscover who you are. For me, it was a really damn long reset time period because I had pushed myself for so long with such intensity. And what you're saying there with dreams, having intention, I think that's spectacular that you do it. I've heard that before from experts, is setting an intention. Hey, this is my question. This is what I want answers to. And just saying it out loud or even saying it to yourself, I think that's incredibly powerful and something that I want to start implementing now as well. And that happens, for example, in meditations for me. And these things, like you said, sub-processes, these things, answers just start popping up. It's counterintuitive when you hear myself speak at times, always go, 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 go. But then when you do take breaks, be intentional about it. We even know that, okay, well, I have made the intention to take a break now at 11:30, even though I'm in the zone and I want to freaking crush it and keep going. Leave it.
Yep.
Have the discipline and the self-love to leave it. Because usually what happens then, freaking amazing answers and things that you didn't think of will come up during that break. But that is one of my greatest vices, and that I struggle with, to that discipline to stop at that point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one thing, I'm not an expert in sleeping, right? But there's some topics you need to do research in. Everyone sleeps, right? You need to research what type of person you are. I'm trying to find the book. I'll send it later. I read it a few years ago. I can't recall it, but it's like there was 3 type of people and what they need in terms of sleep, right? One thing that I would say is you have to figure out what you need for sleep, right? Consistency is important. Waking up at the same time every day is super important.
Yep.
Not a half hour later, not before. Going to sleep at a certain time is super important. Yesterday, I dropped the ball, right? I was so exhausted during the day. I took a nap and I couldn't go to sleep at the time I wanted to. And I was pissed because I knew it was going to impact me. Luckily, I did not know today was a holiday. So I didn't, I like, kudos on me. I have more time to work and catch up on stuff. But I was like, all right, cool. Right. I didn't want to. So this is what I say about knowing yourself, right? I woke up, looked at my phone, looked at the workout, and there was like, there's no way that if I do this workout at 6 a.m., I'm going to perform from 9 to 5 the way I need to perform. So I'm not going to go at 6. I'm going to go at 7 at night because as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to go take a shower and go to sleep because I'm going to be exhausted. So it's understanding your day, planning your day out and doing it. And it involves, going to sleep on time. Like I said, however it takes you to get something done. Look, someone expects you to work 10 hours. Why should I work 10 hours if I could get it done in 8? Right? Again, if you really want the job and you like it and it takes you 14 hours, are you willing to put the work in? I am. Like I said, there's been multiple times. Last October, November, I did 80-hour weeks. But it was fun. You understand? It was fun. I could do 90. Right? And it's not about, oh, you're working too hard, you burn out. I think it's a combination. Are you getting your exercise? Are the relationships you have, if that's okay with them? And then are you eating correctly? And now you're performing. Where's the stress at? You're loving what you're doing. You got to put in the work. Yes, There's some stress because you're doing the work, but these are metrics you need, everything you need, right? So I always say the same thing. Give it out. If you need to take 4 hours, if you need to sleep 4 hours one day, okay, that's one day. If it becomes a habit, how is this affecting you in the long run? Because I know people that perform with 4 hours, they sleep 4 hours. Like naturally. They just they it is what it is, right? I know other people that need 10 hours, and I'm like, okay, that's what you need. Cool.
Yeah.
So it's all everyone. It's not cookie cutter. You know what I do to get me in the zone. Hopefully, you could get one of five things. So that's what I would say, man. Everyone's different. I hope, people are getting some sort of insight into, high performance and what it takes, right? This isn't overnight. Like people want this quick fix thing, and it's patience, 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 patience. And I think I learned that. Like I learned the process. I learned to trust the process, and I learned patience because overnight I'm not going to be this beast. Like my sleeping schedule sucked when I was in my 20s. All of my 20s, it was terrible. So it is what it is. You grow, you move forward, you make things happen, and then you start evolving. And then when you're evolving, you're gonna have people that's like, "Oh, you're changing." It's okay. Change is good. It's having other people that don't want you to change because they want you to stay at the same spot. You just got to recognize it.
The most challenging thing professionally for me has been to embrace the what the eye can't see and integrating what the eye can't see. And you're touching on part of it. Dreams is part of it. Meditation was part of it. It's more embraced now, especially in Silicon Valley. And I'll give one example so people can understand a dream factor and how has that played so significant importance in my life lately. Was I had a dream and I was doing heroin in this dream, and I had this incredible high, and I was just going bouncing off the wall, and I crashed, and it was terrible. And I woke up and I realized it's the coffee. It's caffeine. It's the caffeine that's doing this. And I've been asking myself this question, like, well, why am I feeling the way I am doing day in and day out? And I don't drink much coffee, but I'm a highly tuned person. I have a highly tuned in diet, and this had a significant effect, the caffeine. So I would crash 3:34 when I end my workday, and I would have a lot of regret, a lot of anxiety, hard time letting go, and I would be just very, very destructive in my way of being and in my energy.
Can I ask you a question? When was this?
About a month ago.
Let's get into this because I'm a professional when it comes to this. A professional. Ask me your questions because I'll give you a rundown. Back in my 20s, I would drink close to 12 cups a day, and I'm talking about ginormous cups, like these cups.
Oh, okay.
Like those cups. And then, what I didn't know. This is going to be a long-winded answer, but when I talk about being a professional when it comes to coffee drinking, you're talking to the maestro.
Go all out.
So
do it.
Throughout all of my 20s and in the beginning 31, 32, I would go so hard. I'm talking about every hour, every 2 hours, a big cup with milk, half and half, sugar, all this. And then I started like really gaining weight. I'm still heavy, you know what I mean? But I was really gaining weight. So then I was like I was starting to count calories. And then I was like, holy shit. Each cup is close to like 300 to 400 calories,
Wow.
sugar and half, right? It's not, maybe a little less. That's maybe rangy. Like maybe throughout the day, I was drinking about 1200 1200 calories in just
Wow.
coffee.
Hmm.
That's ridiculous. That's not including meals. So I wasn't getting crashes. I was like, you need to just stop like going from 1200 and you need to start bringing that down. So I stood with everything, but then I was like, instead of half and half, I'm gonna go to, 2%, 1% fat free, which was disgusting. Then I would go to lattes, almond milk. Now this is
Hmm.
fast forward, right? I used to take 4 spoons or 5 spoons of sugar. I did four, three, two, one, zero. And it
Hmm.
was half and half, 2%, 1% fat free almond milk. So what I just did there, it took me around 2 years. So I really recall when it happened. It was 2013 when I realized it, but I was doing it for like, I think maybe 10 years. So then I started just changing that habit. And then in 2018, I was drinking a lot. And then I went back to New York and I was used to Silicon Valley's gourmet coffee, pinky up,
Hmm.
the best beans in the world, best lattes in the world. And you go back to New York, and I had to go there for 6 months because a family member had a medical issue that needed me there for 6 months. And the coffee was absolutely terrible. So I could only drink black coffee, and that black coffee was shitty.
Hmm.
So that made me take 8 cups of coffee into like, I was cutting down at the time to around four. And then when I came back, I think because I drank coffee so much throughout my life, like I mean, literally, my mom at 5 years old would give me a cup of coffee and say, go to school."
Wow.
Seriously. And then
Huh.
they thought I had ADD. No, I
Huh.
had caffeine running through my veins at 5 years old.
Wow.
But what I'm saying is, like, what I decided, I can't recall when. I can't recall when. It had to be in the last year, maybe 2 years. Is you have 2 cups of coffee in the day and it's before 12.
Mhm.
All black, 2 shots of espresso. I got this high-end espresso machine, great beans and everything. And get your flavors in. Get it up. So what happens? 2 cups. If it's 12:01 and you only had one, it's your fault. Because I told you to do that, right? Done. Look, this was my second cup of the day.
Hmm.
It's cold, but it's past 12.
Mhm. Yeah.
So there is, for me, there isn't any crash. And I think, you know, I would recommend anyone addicted to anything to like wean themselves off.
You're going into concepts of micro progression, of having small goals, just achieving small goals, and
Mm,
I think that's freaking key. Like, don't go for
mm,
the don't go for the elephant kill right off the bat.
yeah.
Like, get yourself a bunny first. Like,
Yeah, it's small
just
wins.
yeah,
It's small
yeah,
wins. It's like doing your bed when you wake up. You already won, right? But at the
yeah.
end of the day, any goal, whatever makes you feel good, do it. So I just put myself, look, you're not having it after 12. So I don't have any crashes, but if you do have any crashes, how much water are you drinking?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question that I have for you. How much water do you drink before 3?
Mm-hmm. I function well on very little water. At least that's what I have
Do
convinced
tell.
myself of.
Do tell, please.
Uh, Going into exact measurements.
Everything is
So yeah,
metrics. Remember, everything is metrics.
yeah, and this is something I used to be more dialed into. I drink. So right now, I fast in the morning. I used to do bulletproof coffee. Used to
Mhm,
do butter coffee, MCT oil, or brain octane
mhm,
oil, and that was my breakfast. And I did. But now I'm just all I do. I stop eating at 7, and my next meal is at 11:30 next day for lunch.
Without water before?
So I drink 2 cups of, not cups, it's slightly more, maybe a cup and a half. So it's equivalent of 3 cups in the morning of water, and it's hot water, and that's what I have. And why?
Do you do that when you wake up?
It's like half an hour, 45 minutes in.
Okay.
And I've tried the salt and the lemon elixir that some people talk about. It does not work for me. So I go to that. But yeah, I usually drink water sometimes in the afternoon, and I need to pick that habit back up again. I don't drink with my meals, and then I go into working out. Probably I used to drink about almost, I would say, half a gallon when I worked out. Not anymore. But yeah, that's where usually my water drinking ends. And a big part of why I don't do this is I have a rather small bladder. I go to the bathroom so freaking much, and it annoys me. It annoys the crap out of me. So it ruins flow, in my opinion. And if we're let's say, doing a podcast like this or doing a meeting, if I have, let's say, a cup of water before we would jump on this podcast, I probably need to go to the bathroom 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, no, that's not worth it. So I'd be this is part of a habit too. So I admit, the more I drink, the less I also need to start going to the bathroom. Right. I'm aware, and I'm curious to, I mean, obviously you know a thing about this, because you're putting me on the spot here. You
Absolutely.
drink a gallon a day. I've attempted to doing this. It's a freaking nightmare. I lose my appetite. I go to the bathroom all the time, and I just have a very hard time just drinking the water, because I'm like, this is freaking hell, and I don't see any benefit from it. So I'll leave it at that. It's all right, Marco.
So there's a few things. I'm gonna give you an example. I remember back in 2015, I was on like a diet, and it was I wanted to get into eating avocado. You know, my family eats a lot of avocado. The problem is avocado, for some reason, gives me some horrible pains in my stomach. So what I did was, I was like, really? Okay. This is when I was just like trying to mess with my brain. I was like, I'm going to eat avocados every single day until there's no more pain. You're going to get used to it. You're going to have to get used to it. And guess what? For the first 2 weeks, every time I was curled up in my like couch in pain, and I was like, tomorrow's going to happen again. I got my pillows here. I got a little like a little thingy, a little cover. I'm ready, because I believe you're going to have to get used to this pain. Meaning, body, get used to eating avocados and whatever it does, and figure it out. It figured out itself, whatever the case is. Now I can eat avocado, no problem. But for like those 2 weeks, and anytime I ate it before, it would just destroy, like pain. Ow, I was just like, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So what I would say is, with the water thing, get over it. Get over it. Like, do it and keep on taking pisses. And then people think I'm crazy. I'd be like, no, you're not going to the bathroom. Hold it until whatever I need to do is finished. Like, chill. It's not, they say it's not healthy, but what I'm saying is, you know, who's control of this vessel? I am. Chill. Like, you know, if there's a trick, right? Let's say if you're in a podcast and you really got to go, you could smack your hand as hard as you can, and your brain shifts over to the pain instead of like you're going to the bathroom.
Sure.
Now that's extreme. The other thing is, how extreme is this? Are you in a room? Have a piss bucket below you. Like, have a piss bucket. But what I would recommend is, as soon as you wake up, what I do is shoot 32 ounces straight to the face before anything. Hydrate my body. It could be hot, medium, cold, whatever. 32 ounces straight to the face, and the day begins there.
You're dropping bombs here, Marco. Left and
32
right.
ounces.
You're calling me out. Like, I thought, okay, being a former strength coach, being I would like to call myself a biohacker, you're raising the bar. Like, you're calling me out, and I goddamn appreciate it. So thank you for
Absolutely. And I would say is, they have these gallons where you know
Sure.
do that.
I'm not
But
doing a bodybuilding style, but yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What I would say is, can you chug 32 ounces?
Sure.
I would say chug twice, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Anytime you want something, have one of these. Look,
Right. Sure.
I always have this around because I've given up everything. You're thirsty, you drink water.
Mm-hmm.
No orange juice, no apple juice, no Pepsi, no nothing. I used to I'm talking about love my sparkling water.
Mm.
And then someone challenged me. When you challenge me, I is ready to go. So they challenged me, and it changed my habit. Now I'm just like, I'm good. Right. But the first thing I do, there's, in terms of activity, 32 ounces of water off the rip. And I take a shot of this thing called NutriBurst Plus, which has all these vitamins and nutrients, and it gets me where I need to go. Then I check on everyone. Then I get my coffee. I don't need it. I just want to enjoy it. Me and my mom have this ritual. I go and check on her, bring her a coffee. I have my coffee, and let's chit chat and watch TV and see how shit is going. Right. So you have these habits, these rituals, and it is what it is. But I will challenge you to say, at least minimum, try to get 94 ounces of water in you, and then push it up. It's not that difficult. You forget because you're going on and on. But metrics. Let's go back to metrics.
Sure.
You want to go back? After you take 32 ounces of water, how long does it take for you to go to the bathroom? Is it an hour? Is it? We're going back to we're going back to time.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And the crashes, I believe, and this all revolves around your crash and your dream.
Sure.
Because I believe if you're hydrated, that will give you the energy you need. This is, again, I'm not a pro, but my energy is up because I'm mindful that we are performers.
So when I say crash, I mean a mental crash of not energy. I'm not talking energy in the body, but a mental crash of my brain has been on just full lockdown mode, and I've been doing so much that I've not processed everything that I've done. And when I hit that time that I stop and it's workout time, now all this stuff starts coming up. I'm like, ugh. And there's anxiety usually because, and this is how I end my day, and this needs to be intentional, focus on a good note. Or end on a good note every single day. You determine how you end every single day. If you, and that is because it will lead into everything else the rest of your day. It's like your champagne moment. Try to have the champagne moment, for me at least, at the end of the day, because it will follow me for the rest of the day and going into the next day too. So be very intentional, like plan things in that will bring up your spirits. And that's something I need to get to myself too. It's just, how do I bring up my spirits and end on a good note that I know has a high success rate?
So I'm happy. I feel like we've like I've been there so many times. Like what you're saying, I'm like, man, this is like me. This is me, and this is like research that I've done. So if you ever see me and I'm sitting down, an arm length away, I have one of these, because at the end of the day, or I have one of these. So what I do at the end of the day,
pen and paper for those who are just listening.
Yeah.
It's a pad and a paper.
A pad and a paper right next to me. Sorry about that. What I do is, at the end of the day, I write stuff down. Why? Because I would go hanging out with my boys, and remember, I was telling you my knobs were turning. I started getting like, I don't want to say it's anxiety. It's like, this is a waste of time. Why am I here? This is a waste of my time. I don't want to be here. I got these things on and I have to do it.
Yeah.
So what I would do is, to get over that, is write the stuff that I need to do the next day. And I'm going to show you, and I'll let the listeners know, this is just a task list of things that need to get done tomorrow. And then I put them into my day, and I'm like, now you can shut those tabs from your browsers down. Shut them down. Don't let them stress you out, because I got you. You're not going to forget. They're all on the paper. And then if you get anxiety off of that, you have to put a number of how long it's going to take you to get things done. Because this is where we go with time again. It's an infinity loop. So if you have 8 hours tomorrow and you got 5 tasks, and each task is going to take you 2 hours, that means you can't stop today. Whenever your deadline is, it just means you can't stop today.
Right.
If you have a deadline tomorrow and you need to do something, something needs to give. Mm-hmm. But if those 5 tasks, if their priority A is 1 hour and priority D, let's say, is a half hour, and you don't really need to do it, okay, you can stop. Well, no problem. Just circle that priority A that you have to do. And the other thing is, I'm very task oriented, right? So I don't do task B unless A is done. That's hard when you got so many balls up in the air. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. These are so many different complex topics, right? But they're built on years and years of things that have happened to me that now they're second nature, and I can react to it the way I react to it. And people just like, oh, this, that, and the other, but it's super important because these are things that have come up over the years. So now they're second nature. So people can ask me, what do you do with this? And I'm like, here you go, because I did the research and I put in the work back then, so I understand it now, and it's over.
So time is what I brought up on this call that we're on, this mastermind call, was vulnerability, and that is part of it. But time is really the word that I'm getting after. The concept, my relationship with it, to it, this year. And time in Greek, ancient Greek, is time, and that's honor. Time is honor. And I want to really get after the relationship that I have with time and honor how I treat the relationship, because that is the greatest detriment in my life right now. And I know, because that has been, I have a tendency to be late to things, and it usually affects the people that I care about the most, because I know they will love me regardless. But it's something that is a self-destructive pattern. If you go very deep, it's something that I do. It's self-sabotaging, because I know then I can push the envelope slightly more to do something else that would gain me slightly more satisfaction. But if you take it a layer deeper, it's self-sabotage, because I don't think I'm worthy of love. So I make myself late to sabotage.
There's so much to unpack there. I greatly appreciate you even sharing this, because a lot of people will not share it. So there's a lot of things to break down there, right? So for instance, what is your relationship with time?
It shifts depending on how I feel, and that is why Stoicism has been significant, and why I've been going away from, at times, how I feel and just getting after what is right over what's fast, easy, or comfortable, or choosing courage over comfort, or practicing what I preach over just professing it and talking about it.
Let's dig deep on this. So do you, because it seems like you're not pinpointing time, do you prioritize accomplishing a task over time?
Can you rephrase that?
So if you have 10 tasks, do you give a shit when it's done as long as the 10 tasks is done? Do you care what time it's done in? Or do you care,
I used to.
one, two, as long as they're done, they're done?
In theory, I know start with the most
Mhm.
significant one. I don't do it. It's a relationship I'm trying to figure out. Part of and this is going deeper into what we spoke of. Growing up, it was a I always pushed. It was I love to get involved into things where I lose focus of everything else because I'm so into what I'm doing. I think that's one of the greatest state. You can call
Mhm.
it flow, but that lose makes me lose track of time, and I will always think, oh well, I'll remember time, and I forget about time. Oh well, let me squeeze in as much as possible, just because I enjoy doing things. I enjoy doing a lot of things, and it's a satisfaction that it brings. Part of that, I don't know. I haven't trained myself to be comfortable in stillness and with myself and the thoughts that come up, and how I think that the thoughts run me, not the other way around.
Is the
Um,
thoughts distracting you? Okay.
yes.
So here's the thing. Again, I've like the things we talk about, I live through them because I wanted to be a peak performance. And I don't want people to think like I know it all. I just been through this shit. Like, how do I be the best and be so mindful and write things down? So when you're working and shit pops up, have your notepad and write it down. On the
Perfect.
Pomodoro technique, after your 25 minutes, those 5 minutes, if they was that important, you should tackle it. But if it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that important, you'd be like, why did my brain think of this?
True.
So that distraction is going to happen. You can't control every thought that pops in. Notifications distract you, everything distract you. How do you limit everything to be focused? And this is what the top performers do. Like, you read about, like, I read about these top performers because I want to be a top performer. I want to, like, be at the top of my game. I want to be the Michael Jordan of me. That means the best of me, not the best in the game that I'm in. It's being the best of me. And I'm still so far away, but I feel like every day I'm going ahead and getting better. So, the relationship with time is, here's the thing. Oprah is a billionaire. Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. The guy in the projects in Castle Hill from the Bronx, he's not a billionaire. But what we have all in common is 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what you do with those 24 hours. And I figured this out 2016. I remember when I figured it out. So, the difference between all the people I just mentioned? People that that give you shortcuts to get to that next level. People like yourself putting out podcasts that maybe one person might get something out of it. And that's why, for me, it's important to do something like this, because it's important if one person gets it, and this only has one view. Who cares? That one person got it. Kudos to you, Sebastian, for making this, because you changed one person's life. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't look, I don't know, if you're doing this for money, to help people, whatever the case is. But let's say for 2 years you did this and you only had one person a week listening to your podcast. You have one person that you're changing their lives, right? Everybody's like, oh, I want 4,000 and 8,000 and 100,000 people streaming. Think of just one over zero. You're changing one person's life.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that I'm speaking to that's listening to this, thank you. And you can always reach out to me, because I always believe, can I change one person's life in any way? And these techniques, It's just years and years. And the question I had when I was at Home Depot is why I am here today, because I was going through all these things. And why am I distracted? And I have this, that, and the other, and I'm not sleeping well, and I can't concentrate. And all of these things happen. It's people, most people just let it go. They don't want to ask those hard questions to then create what they need to create. It's hard to change. It's hard to create a spreadsheet and have metrics on how much you sleep. Or it's just hard to understand the Pomodoro techniques and what you spend your time on. Shit, I spent my time on YouTube over 40 hours, but I loved it. But can I cut that down? Oh, wait, maybe I could get a subscription to YouTube so I could get a premium and I don't get commercials anymore. And that saves me 10 hours. You see how this works? It's asking those questions that make sense, because every single time I get time back. If I cut and make shortcuts, I get more time, more time, more time to do other things. That's why, to me, I fall in love with like time. I have a healthy relationship with time because it doesn't give me anxiety. It's how can I do it better so I can have more time? How can I sleep harder or faster so I could perform better during the times I'm up? And I, it's a game to me. It's a game to me, and I love it. So for me, when I hear the things that you're like struggling with, I'm like, dude, I could give you the time. I could give you the year. If you want, I could give you the month. Because I remember when that happened. I remember when those things were there when I was puzzled. I remember when in 2016, when I decided to move from Maryland to California, I read Hatching Twitter. If you read that book, it's going to make you want to come and tackle the gold rush of tech industry in the Valley. And that's what I did. And I caught the bug, and I'm happy for it. I loved it. It was a great experience.
I think that's an incredible way of wrapping this up too. Marco, there is plenty more in the tank, I can tell, and I think there will be
we need a
more
part
of this
two
at a later time.
We need a
Yes.
part two of this.
Yes.
You give me a part two. I think, you know, one of the things on the part two that we need to do is we'll have a separate call, and we'll go way more tactical and go into the weeds on certain things, like give websites out. Here's, you know, this Chrome extension, here's these tools. Like, we'd even get into the help tools, the self-help tools that you need to implement into your life to take it to that next level. Right? That's a whole part two. It's a whole different ball game when you start introducing software and tools and people and, you know, everything, dude. Everything it needs to be firing at all cylinders. What happens when you're firing at all cylinders? You're like a freight train that can't be stopped.
What are a few things, just to leave the listeners and watchers with a few top of mind tips and tricks of practical websites, people? What comes to mind?
Sure.
Go off in a minute.
Sure. I would say definitely Be Focused, which is a application for the Mac. For Windows, I would definitely, which I really love, is called Focus Commit, which is a Pomodoro technique that allows you to create like a Cabana board for your projects and things that you want. I love it. I think that might be my favorite because it lets you boost your productivity. It gives you those metrics that we've been talking about, statistics, because that's how you measure. You need a measure. Look, any goal you have, if you're not measuring that goal of how you're going to get to that destination, it's just a pipe dream. I definitely would say Notion. Take some tutorials, watch Thomas Frank's YouTube, subscribe to him. He is also a productivity guru. Definitely get Spotify, create a playlist that gets you in the zone. You want to have conversations with colleagues, make sure you do it over Slack. Create a Slack channel, invite people there. It's better than text, because if you're, everyone's in their home now and you're in front of a computer, Slack is just better, where you can query things that you probably said in the past. Um, Make sure, you have the right headphones, speakers, whatever you need to get yourself in a zone, put yourself in a good productivity environment. So for instance, when I'm in my office, which I'm in right now, it's about work. It's about going hard. When I go into my bedroom, it's about going to sleep. I'm not going in there to hang out. I'm not going in there to like turn on the TV. The TV's in the living room. You want to do that? Cool. I want to take a break. I got a little meditation room. Oh, I want to read. There's another area here. So what I do is segment all of certain things that I want to do, certain activities that I need to do. And that's kind of what I've been doing over these last 8 months, close to a year now on lockdown. I really want to say I 10x myself over this last year. If you want to go read about Sir Isaac Newton, when he was, I think it was the Black Plague, when he created and invented the whole gravity thing. I think it was during lockdown. So, why not you? Create something, build something, take it to the next level. I think people stress so much about, everything being locked down. It's like, this is the time to have those inner conversations.
Boom. That's the way to end it right there. Marco, where can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, you could go on Twitter at Marco Figueroa, at MarcoFigueroa. And on there, you have my LinkedIn profile that you could go and link. We could connect on LinkedIn as well. Sebastian, it was a pleasure. I mean, as I have said things over this course of time, it feels like I'm talking to a mirror. Like I always say when I speak, it's re-implementing what I know. So it was a pleasure to be on here. And I tell you, I want to be on a part 2. I want to be more strategic. I want to have a conference call about it so we could take your users and give them tools to walk away. And maybe, it could be not so long of a conversation, but a 30 minute hard hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here's some actions. Here's some things to do. We could break it down into sections: health, productivity, all these things. And I know, it'll be awesome episode. And I'm looking forward to hearing the other people on your podcast. I can't wait.
Marco, like I said earlier, you're diamond in the rough. You might not have the millions of followers or the name that everyone recognizes, but the quality of what you have brought up today, and the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion is, I mean, up there with some of the biggest names out there. You showed up, Marco, and you delivered value that made me like, wow, I'm checked right now, and I'm fucking gonna get after it.
Awesome. Like I said, I'm happy to be your accountability partner, and we definitely over Slack. I'll give you my number, and we need to stay in touch, because your energy and some of the things that you think about, I'm not there, right? So I need to think on, where you're at, because I'm a freight train going. I'm on the left lane doing 160, not even 120, but 160, and I'm not trying to pull over to the shoulder, especially this year. So I am grateful. I definitely, like I said, think of part 2, and I want to do it soon so people can walk away. It's early in 2021, right? Maybe we do a special edition in some way. I definitely want to do that. And that's a task that I'm going to start doing like a productivity list. So then the next time, part 2, we could just go quick 15, 20 minutes of the who, what, where, and why we're doing it, and take it from there. Thank you so much.
And I'm just still recording. We can cut it off if we want or not, but it's why I'm just gonna keep it running.
Sure.
And I mean it. Like, it's you're hitting on a lot of freaking points. It is hard to summarize this in such a captivating way that you did it with such energy and such poise in the way you deliver it. And it's if you were to put something out there yourself, I would listen to it.
That's awesome.
And I think and that's not to toot my own horn, but I've listened to a lot of self-help stuff, and I would listen to your stuff, man. Like, that's how high quality it is. Like, I have a very high bar for who I listen to. Like, you can put shit out there on YouTube and podcasts, and I'm like, yes, I would recommend Marco. Like, and I listen to, and I pride myself on being very picky on the people in the closest circle. Mm-hmm. And Marco, you're up there, man. You practice what you preach.
Yeah, and just I'm happy recording, because there's something, we talked about grind and grit, right? Some of my colleagues, like, they're well educated, right? Harvard, MIT, all these things, but I outwork them. Mm-hmm. This is why I am where I am, because my grind and the things that I talked about today is the reason why I'm here. It's those questions that I had that I know these motherfuckers aren't thinking about this shit the way I'm thinking about it. Mm-hmm. I'm trusting the process, and they're home in their sweet couches with their wine and their pinkies up, and I am grinding. And I'm trying to figure it out, right? And I know they haven't figured it out, and I know not everybody, and maybe it's just in my mind that says this. I know you're not doing research and reading books and doing everything the way you got to do it. I'm trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, and don't take a shortcut. So that's what it is.
That's that. Marco, freaking amazing. I got another commitment, and I will get back.
Lock me in for part 2, sir.
Will do.
and lock me in, and I want it soon. So the reason why is because it's early out in 2021, and if we can help people out there, just these tools and these things, that we've implemented in our lives, I know it can help one person, and it's all about that. Thank you.
Love it. Marco, have an amazing rest of your day.
You too. Thank you
again.
Woo! Marco really brought it. Talk about a dedicated, high energy man. He brings me up on another level every time we talk. The motivation, the drive, and the poise is just out of this world. I am grateful to have him part of my circle, and I'm thankful for you tuning in. If you want to connect with Marco, you can find all the links in the show notes, as well as Hack Chat, his podcast that he runs. You can find a link in the show notes there as well. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm sending you much love.